Hi, and welcome to A Casual Conversation. I'm Joe Salzone, and joining me is the longtime mayor of Auburn, Mike Quill. Mayor, thanks for having us here at City Hall.
Glad to entertain you, and I'm glad you're here.
It's been a long time.
A lot of things have been a long time.
That's right. Before we talk about your tenure here at City Hall, give me a sense, Mayor, of the state of Auburn these days.
Without taking any personal credit, I think we're in great shape. We have a terrific city manager, my fellow council members, our department heads, every employee. Everyone is really working their hardest. It was a tough couple of months with the COVID and everything afterwards. You know, everyone's going through it in their own daily life, but they really worked hard and worked together. So very proud of everyone.
How would you compare Auburn now versus shortly before the pandemic?
Well, you know, there's a lot of things you could compare and not compare, but we're still moving forward. We haven't lost anything, a majority of anything, and people are getting back to work, and we're still plugging. We're all looking forward to our first snowfall of the year.
Looking back at managing this city through the pandemic, is there anything you would do differently?
Now, I have to give all the credit to our city manager and his staff. Myself and council were part of the team, but they really took the horse by the reins of the horse and led us through it. So they really deserve all the credit.
Let's talk about your time as mayor. You announced in November of 2022 that you would not be seeking another term, so you are entering your final year as mayor of the city of Auburn. Did you think you would serve as mayor this long?
To be very honest, as a young man, as a teenager, I always wanted to sit on city council. I've told you before, my grandfather spent 20 years as a council member, and I always looked up to him. I thought I would like to try it one day. And but then working for the fire department, it was in the back of my head, but you know, it was in my brain, but really didn't pursue it. And I never thought about being mayor. Just circumstances led me in that direction.
You were the fire chief for a long time. Walk me through when you made that decision to run for mayor for the very first time. You had just retired. You had enjoyed a few months of a more leisure in your life. What made you run for mayor in the first place?
I thought a lot of my grandfather. I only knew one of them, and I wanted to follow in his footsteps. But when the political process started, there wasn't room. They had two excellent council candidates. There wasn't three to be elected. So I was just as happy to go play golf or just goof off or whatever I want. You know, it was so different. Spend the time in the Marine Corps and then working for Pepsi-Cola and then the fire department. I had this time on my hands. I wasn't really used to that. So I had an aunt who is since deceased. Her and her husband and other aunts and uncles talked to me seriously about doing it and being involved in the race for mayor, and that kind of led me into that path. So,
what was that first campaign like?
Well, I always equate this. Our first campaign event that we held was an organizational meeting. We had it in our garage. We live on Lansing Street, and it was the same night our first grandchild was born. So it's always synonymous. But we always called ourselves the garage people because we wouldn't. A lot of political campaigns will go to a club or whatever. We had a huge garage and it was dry, and had a great outpouring of friends, acquaintances, people we had never met before. People wanted to get involved, and that was the difference.
Would you do it again? If you went back to that first time?
Ask people to my house. Yeah.
I have yet to receive an invitation.
I know.
Oh, that's hurtful.
Would I do it again? Sure. I don't regret a bit of being mayor. It's like your job or jobs I've had in the past. There's days you really, really don't want to be there, but you have to do what you have to do. And it's the same way with being mayor. 99.9% of the time I've enjoyed it. there's one or two incidences that, it's just the way it was, and we took care of it and moved on.
If you walk downtown in the last, let's say, 10 years, there's been a tremendous amount of change. Some businesses have left, but for the most part, downtown has grown. Take me back to the Auburn of your youth, what it looked like then versus what it looks like now.
Well, right for the record, we didn't have trolley cars or horse and wagon. It was very similar to what it is now. And I still, when I drive through downtown, a lot of times my mind wanders, and I remember Nolan's shoe store being there here, or Poulis's, Mohegan's Market, and it's getting with so much reconstruction downtown and modifications. It's hard to exactly remember where a specific store is, but Auburn's really progressed. It really has. People say we're not moving forward, but if you take a step back and think about where we were, they were great days. They really were, no question, and everyone did their best. But we still have some very good people that own businesses and operate businesses downtown. On a Friday or Saturday night, you can't find a parking place.
Yeah, it's a good problem to have.
Even with the back-end parking, which drives me crazy, but you have to do what you have to do.
Well, there is that nice garage where you don't have to do that.
There is.
There was a period of time, though, where downtown was much like a ghost town. There was nobody around.
Yeah.
When did that change, and how did that change?
I can't give you an honest answer how it, you have to realize when I was 18 years old, I left Auburn for 4 years. I was in the Marine Corps. So things changed during that time period too, but it's coming back to something new, and you try to remember what was there, and I can't give you a definite answer to that.
There are people, though, I'm sure you hear some of the criticisms, people that may have lived here a long time ago, and they'll come back to visit, and they'll say, well, this is gone, that's gone, this has changed. What do you say to people that will tell you Auburn isn't really that good of a place to live?
You don't know. We all want to live in the past. I'd love to be a senior in high school again, in all honesty, but you can never go back home. And I really believe that what anyone believes in their mind is a bit jaundiced. It's not really what it was, or in their mind it was, but we can't reproduce something that we really do not believe in or have faith in. You have to keep in mind also that the city of Auburn government is not really responsible for new businesses going in Auburn, or old ones leaving. We do our best as a government, as a community minded, to assist or help anyone in what they want to do. But their plans don't always meet what the city's specs are, or what is available from the federal or state government. For example, just a pizza shop. Just because someone wants to build a pizza shop and they want to do this and do that and do the other thing, they have to have a lot of skin in the game. It's not all up to the city of Auburn or Cuba County to help them. We do everything we can, but then you'll have one person wants to open up a pizza shop, just as an example, and you'll have 5 other people saying, we don't need another pizza shop. We have too many of them downtown now, or whatever the case may be. It's a balancing act, and we really try our best to work with possible ideas, or however you want to term it. So,
I've often said that moving to Auburn 10 or so years ago was one of the best decisions I ever made. Tell me your pitch. How would you pitch to someone who's never heard of Auburn, who doesn't know the history of Auburn, how it's intertwined with so much of American history? What is your pitch to someone who might be watching this right now, who might consider moving to Auburn?
Come to Auburn, spend a weekend, spend a week, just walk our downtown, see what's going on, and see if it's anything you'd be interested. I can't say, well, you would love this one block between the legs of the loop road. That'd be great for your business. I don't know what your business is. I don't know anything about your business, but just come, just try not to get in the middle of everything, but just talk with people. Stop at one of our restaurants, have a cup of coffee, or a meal, and watch the people interact with each other, with the staff at a restaurant or whatever, and people that are Auburnians, people that come in. There's just so many things to do. We want to open these doors for everyone, but we have to know what you're interested in too. And by coming in and unannounced, anything like that, just walk through, see what you think of Auburn, and then contact us. We'll be glad to meet with anyone, anytime. But we don't know what you want to do. We don't know what you want to invest, how you want to invest. But we have terrific staff at our planning department. They can tackle any problem whatsoever.
What's the biggest challenge as far as you see that Auburn faces in the next few years?
Probably the cost of living, and I think that would be for any mayor. When you try to assemble all the services, your police, your fire, your water service, your trash removal, it does get expensive because it's time consuming and is very heavily labor involved. So that makes a difference with everyone. But if you like the hometown feel, that's Auburn.
When you came back after being gone for so many years, do you recall any changes that you noticed right away, or did it look more or less the same as you recalled?
There was places that I would go to, hang around at, that were gone, burned down, urban renewal, whatever the case may be. My own neighborhood where I grew up, it was pretty much the same. My friends, excuse me, my friends, we were all the same age. We all went in different directions, and you can never go home again. But you're home, but you can't go home again. The field where we used to play baseball was 2 doors away from my home. It's still there. They don't use it anymore for whatever reason. I don't know. So.
What's the most common question or the most common comment that you hear about the city, about downtown, about government, that you hear more often than anything else? Because you must get a lot of questions and certainly a lot of comments.
To be very honest, I'm really, I know what you think of me, but I'm really a low-key guy. I like going out.
How do you think I think of you?
Yeah, just the opposite. But it's fun and interesting to go to a restaurant that you normally don't go to, and just listen to what the people are saying about the city or the community, and at the same time, it's some people recognize you and they'll say, "Hey, Mayor, how you doing?" And then other people start talking. So I learn more by absorbing other conversations than trying to lead the parade.
But it's hard for you to go out and be incognito. People know you.
Yeah.
You grew up here. This is your hometown as much as it's anyone's. How long did it take to get used to that?
I probably will never be used to that.
Because we've gone out, we've socialized, we've had lunch, we've gone to several different places around downtown, and it always struck me as people would come up to you and they would say, "Hi, Mayor," that you demonstrated the same level of jovialness when maybe you might not have been in a very jovial mood.
Being a mayor or a member of council or a town supervisor, there comes a lot of respect with that. And I feel you have to earn that respect. So if someone said something off color, off key to me or anything, and I started debating them on that, I'm the one that's going to look bad. They're not. What's it saying? You get more flies with sugar than you do with vinegar. So it's everyone that you run into, that you meet, that you talk with, they have something interesting on their mind. And 99% of the time, it's how this community, the city, or myself as elected official could do better. So I really believe that you have to give them their fair time and be respectful to them. And we all should learn something every day, and how you go about it. That's you can't always pick up a book and learn it that way. Many lessons I learned in life was my time in the Marine Corps and at the fire department. I was surrounded by a lot of good people with a lot of historical knowledge, a lot of common sense. And that made a big, and along with it, I have a super huge family. I've told you before how many brothers and sisters I had. There was 9 of us. And then I'm one of 75 grandchildren. And my 2 children, my son and my daughter, they're 2 of 150 great-grandchildren. So it's part of, I feel, my generation, to learn from them, but also to teach them to pass some of these things on. And the community, the city is the same way to me. There's a lot of people out there with great ideas, common sense, a good sense of things, talking and learning from them, and then sharing what you have. That's what makes us a great community.
What would you say, Mayor, is one or maybe some common misconceptions that the public has about what goes on here at City Hall?
I don't think it's only here in City Hall. I think it's on the state level, the federal government level. There's misconceptions, and what was the old saying? Don't confuse me to facts. My mind's made up. So there are, and if something really bothers an individual, or something they've heard or seen or whatever, they have to direct that question, get directed to myself, member of council, our city staff. We'll do our best. There's times that we have the answer that has to be the answer, and they're still not happy. But if we go the extra mile and do everything we can, we can't change everything.
Tell me about the relationship between the city of Auburn and the county. You've got that county office building basically right around the corner. Auburn, the biggest seat in Cayuga County. How important is it to have a good, healthy relationship between government on the city level and government on the county level?
I hate to use this term, but we're all fighting the same battles. We're all in this together. This county is only as good as the city, and vice versa. The city is only as good as the county. Not too long ago, the company is moving down to Onondaga County. I forgot the name of it. Micron. Within a week, Dave Gould, a longtime friend, the chair of the county ledge, asked for myself and our city manager and city staff to participate in a county-led meeting. How is Micron going to affect Auburn and Cayuga County, and are we prepared to handle the influx of employees, construction, things of that nature? So they broke up into subcommittees, and they are meeting just about every week. One of the things we think of here in central Cayuga County is housing. They're going to have an influx of employees, and a lot of them are going to be living in Oswego and Onondaga County and so forth. But we want to be available, or possibly entice them here to come to Auburn to see what you've lived here, what Auburn's like. Auburn's like any other community. It's a great place to live. We have some issues, things that we're not exactly happy with, but we're working on it. But I think that's a big responsibility between the city and the county and all the villages and towns in our county to work together and come up with a plan.
What are some of those issues that perhaps you would like to see change as quickly as possible?
In regards to Micron, or?
No, you said that there were some issues that you wish you could change. I'm curious what some of them might be.
As a city official, and not condemning anyone, our county is so narrow and long. It's what, probably 40 miles from Lake Ontario to just about the Cortland County border. But at the same time, we're very narrow. From here to Onondaga County is 7 miles, and Seneca County is probably 7 to 15 miles away. So we're long and narrow. That creates some issues that we have, but our neighboring communities have always been gracious to us and very, very helpful. I have many friends who are I've known for a long time through the fire service, and now many of them are into the government, their local government. So it's nice to be able to pick up a phone and say, hey, Joe, how can we help each other with the snow plowing, for example, in this particular area? It's not really the city problem, it's not really the town or the county, but that's just an example, working together and knowing people.
People know you or have known you as the mayor. People have known you as the fire chief. They've known you as someone who's been involved in a lot of different facets within the city. But they might not know Mike Quill, the person. Is there a difference between who you are at city council, who you were in the fire department, and who you are in your everyday life?
I'm the poor judge of that. I try to be an even keel. Sometimes, for example, when I was the fire chief, you had to make tough decisions. You had to stick with them. In any job, not everyone is happy with your decision, but you have to make it. You have to think it through, think from the heart, and do what you have to do. It's like being a dad or now a grandfather. I'd rather get along with folks than be an antagonistic relationship. So you get more flies with sugar.
Sure. We are recording this, and as we're recording this, you have 12 months left as the mayor. We're sitting in a room where we're surrounded by pictures of your predecessors.
Correct.
Have you thought about your legacy?
Nah, I am who I am. What I am. I'm
The Popeye philosophy.
yeah. I am who I am. Were there days or not weeks, maybe a couple of days here or there that I way in the past that I would like to redo, but that you learn from everything. You learn from your good days, you learn from your bad days, but you have to put it all together and just try to be a better person. You try to be a better neighbor, a better father, a grandfather, a husband. So,
No regrets?
oh, sure. There's things, you're not going to get me to fess up to anything.
I was hoping I would.
Yeah, statute of limitations.
Oh,
that's
okay.
all. Nothing.
I thought after 10 years of knowing you, I would get something finally on the record.
No jail time, nothing. No, just
Not yet.
well, I try to keep a 100% record. There's things you've said in heated arguments or discussions, but hopefully I've learned from it.
Once you leave office,
Yes.
what do you do with the rest of your life?
What's the old saying? You want to make God laugh, tell him what you're doing tomorrow. So, what I enjoy watching our grandchildren grow. I think the oldest one is in 10th grade or 11th grade, and the youngest one is in like 3rd grade or 2nd grade. And I'll be in trouble because I don't remember their age.
We won't tell them.
I want to see them grow up. My hobby is my family tree, and I drive people nuts. I have something like 30,000 people in there. So it's just, wow. I get into that so deep, it takes me a day to figure out how I got to there. But
how did you get interested in that? Because you mentioned that to me years ago,
yeah.
And even then you were knee deep in it.
My dad's baby sister, my Aunt Pat, who was a big part of our campaign, her husband Nick, she was asking questions, and I was asking questions, and we started writing things down, and it just took off from there. When I go home today, the family's coming over to decorate the Christmas trees and everything, but sooner or later I'll get into the computer, and it's just so fascinating. And then I realized some of the names are synonymous with Auburn, and some of my wife's family, they're from the Pennsylvania area, but they all come together, and it's just, I just find it fascinating.
Any surprises in your research?
Oh, yeah. Nothing. I'm not telling you nothing.
Really?
No,
John Dillinger?
How did you know? No, no.
I just know.
No, nothing really amazing other than to me, my mom's parents came, one from Poland, one from the Ukraine, and I hit a blank wall there. I can only go back so far because everything happened in Europe prior, between the wars, and
records were destroyed.
Yeah, and my mom's father passed away when she was 6 years old. So,
how far back have you been able to go?
With reasonable credibility, I'd say probably around the year 1000.
Wow,
somewhere back in there, and there again, it's working with other folks who have the same family ties or relationships. So you have to have faith in who you're working with, and you have to use common sense. Does this really fit into my family?
Can you tell me anything you've learned about that relative from 1,000 years ago?
He was old.
Yeah, he was old then.
You know, there's.
Is there a name?
I don't recall what it is
Okay.
now. But there, you know, it's just. I hope it's all true. I can reasonably go back, say, 100 years. This is, who we are. But further back, you have to rely on distant cousins or people you've met to talk with them. So
What do records from 1,000 years ago look like?
very dusty. That's what I say. What is it? Wikipedia, I believe, on the. If for example you come across a name like King Egbert III,
Yep.
in my case, I'm making this name up right now, but I'm reasonably sure that I'm a descendant of his. You can go on the computer and you can get anything off it. You can find out about him and who his parents were and so forth and so on. So a lot of it is a crapshoot, but if it gets to the point where I'm unsure that this is valid, I kind of steer away from it.
What's driving you to do this extensive research going back a millennium?
I have no idea. I've thought I find it fascinating. I just do how all the relationships work and so forth and so on. So
How far back do you think you can go?
1300s.
Wow.
But there again too. This is my grandfather Quill was Irish, and my grandmother Quill, she was French and English. And in her line, there's a family called Brockway. You probably heard of Brockway trucks.
Yep.
They are the largest group in my family. My grandmother Quill's side of the family, from the Cortland area, and a lot of them are members of the Seventh-day Adventists, I believe it is.
Yep.
And they were really noted for all of their record keeping, going back and back and back. And a lot of it I rely on from distant cousins to fill in some of the holes, but not always just jump right on and put it in. I do my own research and try to make sure that I'm coming up with the right answer.
Last series of questions for you, Mayor. You're entering your final year at City Hall. Any goals?
Now, I work with a terrific council. I really do. The 4 members of council they watch out for each other. They work together. We don't always agree on an answer to a solution, but they're willing to talk it out and work it out. Mr. Dygert, our city manager, our comptroller, every one of our department heads, every one of us want to see the city to continue to grow and to prosper. A lot of our employees are young. Everyone's younger than me, except for you. But everyone's younger than
We're about the
myself.
same age.
And they are raising their families here, and they want the best for their families. Once in a while, we'll have a person come on board that's really not into this way of thinking or working, and they don't stay long with it. That's their choice. But these are people that have moved here, are happy. I assume they're happy here, and they want us to continue to prosper. There's something about small town life. What they say about Auburn's too big to be small, too small to be big.
Yeah.
And it's perfect.
History's hometown.
History's hometown, correct.
Mayor, I appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for no hard questions.
Thank you for no good answers. We've been speaking with Auburn Mayor Mike Quill. Thanks for watching. I'm Joe Salzone.